So, how does a country with over 270 million people even begin to plan for its next big chapter? Well, today, we're diving deep into Indonesia's massive national strategy meeting to unpack their really ambitious roadmap to the year 2045. And this whole plan, it doesn't start with big numbers or spreadsheets. It starts with a single, incredibly powerful story.
Right, so before we get into any of the policies or the grand vision, the entire event kicked off with something way more personal. It was a letter read aloud from a young student named Sophia. And her words, they just set the perfect stage. She wrote about how a government scholarship literally changed her life, saying it lifted me from a dark place and put me in a bright one. It's just a powerful reminder of what's really at stake behind all the policy we're about to get into.
And who was listening to this message? I mean, the audience was huge. This was not some small get-together in the capital. No, we are talking about over 4,000 officials. You've got cabinet ministers, local leaders from every single corner of the country, all in one room, all there to get on the exact same page.
Okay, to make sense of this massive plan, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll start with that citizens' hope we just talked about, then we'll check out the nation's recent report card. After that, we'll dive into what they're calling the pillars of self-reliance, a new national call to action, and then finally, we'll look at the road to Golden Indonesia.
So yeah, let's start with the why behind all this. Before a single policy was even mentioned, the focus was put squarely on the people it's all for. Sophia's letter, it wasn't just some nice emotional opener. It was presented as the fundamental reason, the motivation for this entire national strategy.
The event itself has a name. It's called the Rakornas, which is short for the National Coordination Meeting. You can think of it like a giant annual strategic huddle. It's where the central government lays out the big priorities to make sure everyone, from the governors all the way down to the village heads, is pulling in the same direction toward those 2045 goals.
All right, so before you chart a course forward, you got to look back at where you've been, right? So the administration took a moment to present a kind of national report card. And these achievements from the last year, they're not just numbers on a page. They're being shown as the foundation for everything that's coming next. First up is a big one, food security. A major goal was hit when the country became self-sufficient in its most important staple food, rice, producing 34.7 million tons. And this isn't just about farming. It's being framed as a key part of national sovereignty. The basic ability to feed your own people without depending on anyone else.
Next, they talked about a huge social program that provides free, nutritious meals. In just over a year, this thing has already reached 60 million people. We're talking school kids, the elderly, pregnant women. Just stop and think about that number for a second. 60 million. The scale is just staggering. And on the health front, the big push was on preventative care. 70 million citizens got free, comprehensive health checks. The whole idea here is to get ahead of problems, to move beyond just treating sickness and actually identify issues early on. It's all about building a healthier, more resilient population for the future.
And then, looking at the real grassroots level, there's been this major effort to strengthen local economies. Over 83,000 new village cooperatives were officially set up. This is all designed to give local farmers and producers more power, more control over their own businesses, and to keep more of the money and value right there in their own communities.
So, with that report card in hand, the conversation shifts to the future. All those past achievements are basically the launch pad for a much, much more ambitious economic vision. It's a vision built on 2 core pillars, both designed for true self-reliance. The first pillar, and you could argue it's the most important one, is a strategy they call hilirisasi, or downstreaming. Okay, so for decades, Indonesia has basically just shipped its raw natural resources overseas. This new strategy is about putting a stop to that. The goal is to process those resources, things like nickel, bauxite, palm oil, at home, turning them into much more valuable products before they ever get sold.
And look, this isn't just some vague idea. It's already happening. For 2026 alone, they've announced 18 priority downstreaming projects. And this list here, it really gives you a sense of the scope. It's everything from heavy industry like stainless steel to high-tech stuff like solar modules and even green energy like making biojet fuel from used cooking oil.
And here is the most crucial part, the direct impact this has on people. Just these 18 projects are expected to create over 276,000 jobs. And we're not talking about just any jobs. These are high-quality, skilled positions. The whole point is to shift the entire economy away from just digging stuff out of the ground and toward advanced manufacturing. Now, the second pillar is all about the money. A new sovereign wealth fund has been created, and it's called Danantara. Think of it like this. Instead of having all the nation's assets spread out across thousands of different state-owned companies, this fund pulls over $1 trillion worth of them together into one single professionally managed portfolio. The goal is to invest that wealth strategically to fund these huge projects and get the best possible return for the nation.
But this plan isn't just about top-down economics. The next part is a national call to action, a real grassroots movement aimed at completely transforming the country's physical environment.
It's called the Clean Indonesia movement, and this slide does a great job of showing the problem versus the solution. The challenges are pretty clear, right? Trash on beautiful tourist beaches, cluttered cities, the sort of drab look of rusty zinc roofs everywhere. So the actions are direct, getting citizens out for community cleanup days, building 34 new plants that turn waste into energy, and starting a national roof tiling program to replace those metal roofs with more attractive and cooler clay tiles.
The urgency of this whole thing was driven home with some incredibly strong language. The president did not mince words, saying, "We must now declare war on trash. This is for our people." That kind of language, it frames cleanliness not just as a nice thing to have, but as a matter of national dignity and public health.
So, where is all of this going? This final section is where all the pieces come together. The human story, the report card, the economic pillars, the national cleanup, it all connects to one ultimate destination. The year 2045.
This timeline here lays out the key milestones pretty clearly. 2026 is the big launch year for those major industrial projects and the cleanup movement. 2029 marks the end of the current 5-year development plan, which includes all these new strategies. And both of those are really just stepping stones toward the grand goal of 2045, which is the 100th anniversary of Indonesia's independence.
And that is the vision. It's known as Indonesia Emas, or Golden Indonesia 2045. It's a vision of a future where the nation is not just wealthy, but truly sovereign, economically independent, technologically advanced, and a really significant, influential player on the world stage.
So the plan is definitely ambitious, and the roadmap is all laid out. It covers everything from empowering students like Sophia to completely restructuring the national economy. It's a massive, massive undertaking. Which, of course, leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. With this vision so clearly defined, what do you think is the single biggest hurdle to actually making it all happen by 2045?